motion, House Representative Pierce, House motion.
House Bill 1002, Amendment 10. Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 1002 be amended to read as follows.
For the motion, a second. Chair recognizes Representative Pierce to speak on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. In Utilities Committee on this bill, I had offered an amendment that would have also eliminated the sales tax on residential utility bills. I couldn't get support in the committee to get that passed, and one of the objections raised was the revenue impact. And so taking the feedback from the committee, I went back and kind of thought through it, and I decided that we need to provide some immediate relief to our constituents on these utility bills. The underlying bill has some positive things in it, but it's going to take a bit of time to get it all into place. And because I think our constituents need immediate relief, what this amendment would do is it would provide a one-year suspension, basically, of the sales tax on residential utility bills. My thinking there was we can give some immediate relief, and then next year during the budget session we can look at how to make it permanent, because I think it should be permanent, because I've always been told that when the sales tax was passed, I guess back in the 60s, that it was agreed you shouldn't be taxing the sale of necessities. So we have certain things that are exempted from the sales tax. And it seems to me that energy is one of the things that is a necessity. So that's the first part of the amendment. And so that's to try to address this issue about the impacts. It would be 1 year. I'm sure we have enough in reserves, and we're running ahead of the last forecast. So I think we can absorb that initial 1 year moratorium. And then also to kind of soften the impact on the budget, what the amendment would also do is say that going forward, any data center would no longer enjoy the exemption they have for sales tax on the use of electricity or on the sales tax for the equipment they purchase for their data center. And that will, I think, probably more than kind of counterbalance what we might be doing for residential ratepayers. And so I would urge you to support the amendment.
Roll call has been requested and seconded. Will be granted. Further discussion on the motion. Representative Schunkweiler, speak on the motion.
Again, I thank my colleagues for bringing this forward. Unfortunately, sales tax exemptions aren't just relief, they're permanent change to the revenue base. Even if the tax is collected at the state level, sales tax revenues flow through a broader fiscal ecosystem, including formulas, appropriations, and distributions that can affect local units, even for just 1 year. So I ask that you defeat this amendment.
For discussion, Representative Novak, speak on the bill.
Mr. Speaker,
the amendment.
Members of the House, I'm here to support this amendment. Given the rising cost of utilities on my constituents, along with other residents of the state of Indiana, the higher the bills that they receive, the more sales tax we're generating and they're generating and we're collecting. I don't believe the state should benefit from people having to pay higher bills and higher taxes. This would be offset by the provision eliminating it from data centers, and I urge your support.
For discussion on the Representative Delaney, speak on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are two critically important but separate parts of this amendment. The first deals with the sales tax delivered on the residential rates. Your constituents and my constituents are very unhappy with the dramatic increase in electrical rates, and they're counting on us to do something about it. The second part of the amendment deals with the unbelievably expensive sales tax deductions for data farms. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Those buildings are filled with high-cost technical equipment on which there should be a 7% sales tax. There is not, because of a law we passed some 5 or 6 years ago when we thought that Indiana had discovered data farms before anybody else, and we'd jump in and we'd be first. Well, I kind of understand the philosophy behind tax incentives on sales tax or other things. If it provides you a particular advantage or provides a lot of employment. But in the case of data farms, I have to go out every night and look at my backyard to make sure they aren't putting one there. They don't need any incentives to build them. They're raising hundreds of billions of dollars around this country to build data farms. They simply do not need our revenue or that deduction. Last point, which I think is most critical, and is a sign of the problem with this session and the way we handle budget. Apparently, we're allowed to give tax breaks, as you'll see on conforming with the great big bill. So although we're not opening the budget by giving somebody a tax break, but we are opening the budget if we end a tax break. Or we are opening the budget if we give the tax break to a consumer rather than to a billion-dollar corporation. We have the money to make these changes and to help our people and to stop wasting money on incentives that aren't needed. We've got to get off this limitless hamster ring that we've been on in this state for years, where we build up a big surplus and then we use it to give tax breaks to those who don't need it. How about using a surplus for people who do need it? How about investing in this state? I think this is one of the most important votes of the year. It's an opportunity for the majority as well as the minority to say, enough on tax rates for billionaires, more on homeowners, people who turn on the lights at night and wonder if they can pay the bill. Please vote for this amendment. Thank you.
For discussion on the motion, chair sees none. Will the author like close?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I mean, if you're reading your mail from your constituents, you know that they are struggling now, and we need to give some relief now. The quickest way we can do that is by not charging the 7% sales tax. We can give an immediate 7% break on people's utility bills, something that's significant and will happen in just a couple of months. And I don't think we should miss that opportunity. And I just want to point out that it's been my observation around here over the past decade or so that when we're handing out tax breaks like to these big data centers, we don't seem to worry too much about the fiscal impact. There doesn't seem to be a lot of discussion about that. We just hand out these incentives right and left. But now we have an opportunity to help the average, everyday residential ratepayer. And now we're wringing our hands about potential fiscal impacts. And so if you vote against this amendment, what you're essentially saying is it's fine for Amazon, Meta, Google, these trillion-dollar companies to pay no sales tax on their utility bills, on their purchases of equipment. That's perfectly fine. But it's okay for your average residential ratepayer to have to pay the sales tax on that necessity, something that is essentially essential to live in this modern age and to stay warm when we're having weather like this. And so this is your opportunity to realign our priorities, to put our concern directly on our everyday constituents and the bills that they are paying, as opposed to these big mega corporations who, has been pointed out, they don't really need these subsidies. They've got plenty of money, but they're smart because they go around the different states that offer them and they play us off on each other and they see what's the most they can get, even though they don't need it at all. So here's a chance to reprioritize what we're doing and to get refocused on our constituents. I urge you to support the amendment.
Roll call has been requested and seconded. Will be granted when machines open. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed vote no. If all the members voted, tally the roll. Roll call shows 34 ayes, 61 noes. Amendment has been defeated.